before I carry onward, son or daughter, or however you identify today. A monkey, kitty cat. I wanted to show you the cross. When I first came out here to Xenia, what I was showing yesterday, I noticed the cross that was that my daddy put into the house above the garage. And can I tell you, there were a lot of signs to me that said I was in the right custody. Now, why is there seem to be a lot of opposition, if you will, or I can't see it to be all of God and good and healthy? Even in psychological evaluations with other mental institutions that I had been through, they said it seems like a 50-50 in mine and Daddy's relationship. And I think a lot of that has to do with our mindsets and understanding of ourselves, understanding of each other's desires, the willingness to compromise. Okay? I really, let me just say that I've learned I'm in a true relationship with the living God, the God that's supportive of, believe it or not, every desire inside of me. Whatever my belief system is, that God is neutral, loves me unconditionally. But there is a God specifically of life that is all for everything that's in my head. And in alignment with the Word will give me the strength, the courage, the guidance, the leadership for the life that's up here to become out here. Now, how is that? I guess if you just change your way of thinking, it's already arrived, and it's the rest of it's starting to become. That's what I've come to realize. But you can't expect a human, is what I realize for me. I can't expect a human to be for me 100% of the time. Sometimes they see things in a totally different perspective, and it's for my best interest. And I might not want to receive it like that, because I know what's best, right? Not always. But I know myself pretty good, and that's a heck of a start. With that being said, all of the things I'm talking about now are very memorable moments, and I'm trying to share with you, in all honesty, that at that time, in 2009 through 11, I had a lot going on up here, and what I've come to realize is I simply didn't know how to make my own needs met, and I didn't understand that whole desires and life up here. This is where heaven is. I've been taught heaven is way up there, and that the Holy Bible is to comfort us through this life. Pretty much so. And what I've come to realize is, no, heaven is right here. And Jesus Christ is hanging on a cross right there saying, the only thing between your physical world and your mental world is me. Total freedom. Okay? Think about that for a little bit. What if heaven is, for all of us individually, perfection as to what our life would actually be if there had nothing to do with opposition, finances? Nothing like that. Meaning we could totally receive it. We could give it to ourselves as a birthday present. The gift of life, in my opinion, is right in here. Your thoughts, the truth, you surrendering to the truth of the life you desire. The person, your identity, how you want to dress, how you want to walk, how you want to laugh, where you want to go for vacation if that's what you want to do, where you want to live, the kind of house you want to build, the kind of relationships you desire to have. How do you want to give your life? Well, I believe all the answers are in here if you're honest with yourself. Now, the thing is how? Well, the world wants to show you this is how you do it. For instance, my ultimate passion and dream with my rock and roll ministry is I'm not in a hurry anymore. I want the details to be specifically in favor of longevity. No going out there and coming back. Meaning, I really want things to work out for the remaining eternity of my existence. Now, here's the thing. Check this out. Some people would highly say that the only way, like for instance for me, I want to play beautiful theaters. The only way that you're going to be able to go and play beautiful theaters is if first you play other venues like bar rooms, etc., etc., etc. But can I tell you, I already did that, and I never played theaters. In other words, don't let opposition or enemies speak into your life and tell you that the best way to get to the life inside your head is if you go out and do something else first. That's trickery. However, your way into receiving the life up here most certainly will be unique in comparison with a lot of people who have gone about it, maybe a large portion of them very similar ways. But just because a majority, just say even 90% of the people who are musically performing live in theaters in the United States went about it a specific way, meaning this is the sidewalk we walk on. Okay, to get there. The truth of the matter is, they're going to want everybody else, or people in general who observe that will say, see, this is how the majority do it. Now you have to do it that way, and I'm here to tell you that's what Christ is about. Christ says, I am the only way, the truth, and the light. And the only ones who enter into heaven are the ones who believe. With that being said, know that your belief system can be hijacked by people who say there's only one way to do it. There's not one way to do it. Jesus Christ has already said the only way to do it is to believe in Him. Now, how the manifestation of how you enter into the kingdom of heaven, let's face it, some people might dance their way into the pearly gates. Some people may sing opera into the pearly gates. Some people may drive a Mercedes-Benz or a Porsche into the pearly gates, and some on a Harley Davidson. With a Harley what on the back? Is it me? Role playing. Hi, Jesus. I'm here. You know, check this out. What I mean by that is, don't believe that that's true. It may be beneficial, it has its benefits, maybe. But for somebody like me who has already lived and knows that a lot of my pain and suffering was because of the choices that I made, that I committed to, and I couldn't find my way to just let go. That's all I had to do. Let go, stop doing it. If it hurts you, can I tell you something? If it hurts you, whatever it is, a choice that you made and you're committed to it, and it's downtrodden you, maybe it's a job that you're doing right now. Maybe you committed to a job and you don't know a way to transition into another job because you don't want to lose everything that you worked hard for receiving. I am a victim of that. Everything that I earned, worked for, if you will, received. How about received? Let's be humble. Received while I was I did a lot of shows throughout the year. I played Central Pennsylvania, Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. So I played a lot of Grand Central area, based out of Pennsylvania. Can I tell you that the life that I received in doing that is the life I received that was also downtrodden me, making me miserable. I'm happier now And I don't have anything in comparison with the life that I had. It's different. It's completely different. There's a lot of similarities. I will explain to you that this is an amazing way of really getting somebody to clearly see that life is about the choices that you make, and the important factor is you got to be honest with yourself. What life do you really want to live? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of family do you want to have? Do you want a family? Do you want to travel? Do you want to be in a suburban life? Do you want to have a farm? Do you want your own garage? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a dentist? Do you want to be a president? Then you have to surrender to that honesty. And let me tell you something. The one thing I can rest assured is the rest of the world's going to tell you, well, if you want to be this or you want to be that, this is exactly how we do it. Well, guess what? Already you might lose interest after just a couple months. Do you know why? Because maybe this is the life you truly desire. Maybe, or maybe it's putting you to a test. But maybe it's the life you desire. The problem is you're making all of your choices based off of what other people are telling you. And if you would go about it the unique way, a unique way that is tailored specifically by your choices, you might say, wow, life is a roller coaster, and I never got to be, for instance, president, but the life I had heading in that way was incredible. In fact, I got to meet the president. Imagine that. What about somebody like myself who always wanted to be a rock and roll star, a rock and roll star? Well, guess what? A lot of that has humbly realigned itself, and I realize that I simply want to really maximize my fullest potential being myself, and I have more of a direct vision of what I desire. It's not just, I don't want to say just, it's not being a rock and roll star that I desire. It's a life of fulfillment that I desire. And it may look similar to that of a rock and roll star. Maybe. Some people would laugh and say, no way. So, with that being said, I hope that was beneficial. If you don't agree, write down what your thoughts are, because maybe your words in reaction to what I just said will be the footsteps for somebody else in their belief system, because what I'm really convinced of is our belief system is what is the magic potion that has us standing where we are. Maybe sharing our life story in a church community. One of the last times that I attended this church was hard for me. And I'll tell you why. It's because of observing what was being done maybe at other churches, knowing that I didn't want to play bar rooms anymore. I wanted a family, safe environment, preferably alcohol, drugs-free, smoke-free environment, and I do smoke on occasions, okay? Especially when I'm stressed out. I may chain smoke. I just did last night. And I don't like when I do that. Pray for me, and I'll pray for you. I'd like to quit without anything really bad happening to me to make me quit, or at least the thought of it. I don't want to smoke, but I do when I get stressed out. What do you think of that? You ever do that? Something you really don't want to do, but you do it anyway? Well, if you send me an email and ask me, I'll pray for you. And if you believe in the power of words, I'm convinced that just your belief alone will be leverage in your life to combat the things that we do not want, and we can focus our energy more on the things we desire. For me, letting go of various refreshments, for instance, to receive an amazing cool glass of aqua. Do you know what aqua is? At least what I've been told it is. I learned when I was living on Lafayette Street, when I was hanging around Spanish people. It means water. I used to like listening to other languages. I like it best when I'm friends with somebody who speaks a different language and they're giving me just little words and then they laugh at me as I'm trying to repronounce it. As they chuckle and say, "Do you know what you actually just said?" I don't like that. That could lead to trouble. I'm going to tell you right now, this is what hurt me. Was I knew this stuff about me. I love youth. I love children very much. My child that I have, who is just about 18, December 4th of this year, I let go at 8 months old, and I described the details as to how and why that came about. If he comes across this video, I'm sorry, and I know that there is a high potential that you care. And I want you to know I care, and I hope I get to talk to you someday. And we can communicate. I needed somebody more, maybe even today, than I did in my younger years, because I had other people there for me, and that's what I'm realizing here. The support system that I needed to get through this life from 2007 all the way up to the shootout here at the stop sign. Stop! The front door here. As far as I know, there's no more church service here. If there was, I know that I would at least come once a month or so. I would drop by. Just to give hugs, that's it. Nothing more. But at that time, knowing my passion for youth, innovation, aviation, do something new, something great, something different, something exciting. I'm passionate. I want it now. I was hoping to start a Tuesday or a Thursday night. I didn't know what it would look like, okay? Give me credit for the desire, but not knowing the details of it, okay? I was hoping that I could connect with somebody else who also has a vision, specifically ideas. They love youth, and they too, or family-filled, safe environments to have maybe a Tuesday night or a Thursday night of musical ensemble, enjoyment, fallout worship maybe, and at least a portion, and lots of love. Yeah, a portion, I say. Maybe not the whole time, right? Maybe so. Of brotherhood, sisterhood, family. A place where people could come, LGBT friendly, doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're straight, trans, cross-dresser, queen, and we could do diversity here. Meaning it wouldn't just be set to only one kind of night, event. Maybe it would only be once a month. Maybe it would only be 3 times a year. Because what we want to do is pretty great. It's big. And we need a lot of people to do it. And time to promote it. There's all kinds of things. It could take a long time. We might only do it twice a year. I was hoping more than that. Maybe not every week. Or maybe there's that many people involved that you can alternate. And then you get to be a part of it on a Tuesday night. Because there's so many ways to go about it. Can I just say I wanted to do something? I was thinking Tuesday or Thursday night to get started. And of course you learn more about the details, hopefully, as you're communicating. And you start receiving information from people who are coming, attending. What would you like to see within this? What would you like to see happen through this? To be honest with you, I guess I was just looking for closeness. Closeness, community. And I really love children. It would have been a great way to have children in my life. One way. There's many other ways, but that's the way I wanted to be myself. So in other words, Tuesday or Thursday night, is it every week? Is it once a month? Every second Tuesday? Every third Thursday? In other words, I didn't want to intervene with what was going on a Sunday morning. Okay? I realized at some point that maybe I'm overstepping my bounds a little bit. I'm kind of singing up there, doing my songs and stuff. And it's not about Tracilyn, let's face it, but that is a great passion of mine. In my opinion, I should be a touring artist playing beautiful theaters on a regular basis, and when I'm home working in my studio, I should be attending church service and simply filling in with a need and loving people and receiving love. Maybe because a tour was challenging for some reason and I need to be replenished. Draining. How about draining? Worked really hard, or I performed, maximized my fullest potential, and now I'm tired. I need to come back to a church community to rejuvenate. However that looks. It could look many different ways is what I'm saying. And I came here and I met with the pastor that was there at the time, near what I guess now is the closing out of the church that I attended. I sat with him in the room. I tried to explain, and the answer was no. I don't want to say exactly what came out of his mouth. He was kind, but the answer was no. And one of the things that was mentioned was people in the LGBT community really become targeted. Meaning, when ministering to children. With that being said, I never felt like I was targeted at that time because I love children, but I'll be honest, over the years, it seems more so not. For instance, I was not allowed to be at the birthing of my niece, my sister, which hurt me a lot because I prayed to God, if you would just bless my sister with a healthy child, I will fall out and give you my life and let go of everything. Sometimes throughout life, from that moment she was born to now, I felt like I regretted those words. The only problem is I realize it's what helped me to let go of a worldly life that I didn't want anymore. I was hurt that I couldn't be with to see my niece be born, but that was my sister's wishes because of the thought process of the family. They were not in agreement with me coming out as a transsexual female. In their opinion, I should be a man. Maybe you feel that way, but I'm not. And I could spend years explaining how I came to the realization that transsexualism is real. We're transitional existences. And our thought process is what forms us and our reality.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Good. Have a nice day. Oh. When I was doing music as a business, I was in a worldly south, but I used to volunteer at like Special Olympics. That's my background with children. I used to take children bowling that were having societal problems. Their parents would call me and ask me, would you take my child and do something with them? And I said, what hobbies do they like? Went to haunted houses, meaning at Halloween time. We went, played sports, bowling. We did all kinds of things. I also gave some guitar lessons and learned in my walk with youth that sometimes what we were doing was kind of like a way for us to communicate and connect with each other, but it wasn't necessarily what they were passionate about. I got to minister with families Like, I can't believe when I look back on as I was coming out of my music, it was actually transitioning into a ministry. A beautiful ministry, because I was really giving my life basically to whoever was willing to receive it, that would allow me to love them and their children. That's what it was about. And I was simply, in a sense, doing the best I could to psychologically aid them in healing and encouraging them that Jesus Christ really is the way. You know? And I'm excited because now I can kind of present words in a tangible form that express the fact of a healthy acknowledgement, an easy acknowledgement of how that's all possible. And I'll tell you what, when you know, at least what I think I know, you want to share it with people that are willing. Tracilyn, feed me. I want to feed you. It might be sloppy. Do I have to wipe it off? I need a bib sometimes when I eat, you know, especially when somebody else is feeding me. So, he didn't know my background, but the truth of the matter is, again, I was living a worldly self, which is, in a worldly self, you're accepted warmly, in my opinion. When you start getting into, please don't be upset when I say this. For somebody like me, okay, for me, my true self, there's a lot of opposition from a worldly self that was formed, that I formed, okay? Through my choices, through the teachings and everything of life around me, it formed. And can I tell you, there were aspects of that, like ministering to children and going bowling and all the wonderful things that I've done. Community, I had a long list of people that I knew. I couldn't believe the phone numbers, the email addresses, the communications, the numbers on the voicemail. I mean, I was really, really into networking. I loved to minister, what I considered and perceived as minister. So understand that when I came out, I was making things right in my personal life, and when I did that, all the things that I received in a worldly self, it was go time. Bye-bye. I wish it didn't have to be like that. I wanted to make things right with my life, but what I realize now, at that time, I wish it didn't have to be like that. But can I tell you right now, I'm glad it is like that. Because what I realized is, it's refreshing to the mind. It's refreshing to your soul, to your life. Look, I'm gotta be honest, I'm here today, what I want to perceive as the end of the cattle chute. And I want to kiss everybody. I'd like to run down this street, run up it, because this is the finish line, baby. Like a marathon race. I would love if everybody, I have a book of names, which isn't like, probably would fill up the street, but I'm sure if I could remember every single name of everybody that I ever crossed paths with in that worldly life journey, all the way up to this church, even the officers, no guns, no handcuffs, my probation officers, everybody. I'm laughing now, okay? Let me laugh. Just stand here on either side as I run up with a smile on my face, kissing, hugging, slapping hands, smacking asses, laughing a lot, and coming to finish line. I'm finished with a worldly life. And if I were to talk to anybody that has anything to do who's supportive of the worldly life, I would say, understand, it's not for me. I can't do it. And if you would be the head of the worldly life, I would say, please forgive me. can't do it, don't want to do it. Let other people who want it receive it. It's in me. I have to be true to my heart's desires. And some people say, that's what we don't want. I have to be true to my heart's desires, and it's become scary at times. Because the world says, for many reasons. You didn't go about it this way, or you did this and there's no forgiveness. The only thing I can say, the only thing that I can trick my mind into acknowledging is Jesus Christ, which stands for freedom, total commitment of surrender, all of that. Letting go. The only thing I can say about that is that's the only thing that stands in the way from me receiving the life inside my brain. No man can intervene with that. They can make things difficult. Please don't. Please don't do that. I've been through enough. Guess what? It's not my building. It's not my church. I'm not on staff even. And if I was, more likely, a lot of my words would have... Too bad. There was even challenges with me singing some of my music. Daddy stood ground and was a voice for me. They were, and look, I'm going to say it, they were doing things very consistently, mundanely the same. They might not have acknowledged it because they weren't an attendee. They were the ones providing. I would like to see it, that I was the life that was coming to them and explaining. And I told him, I don't want to step on your toes. I don't want to take Sunday worship away. Absolutely not. In fact, I may want to attend it even more. I need an outlet. I'm sick of feeling depressed and being at home alone, in bed. I wasn't home alone, but I was in bed alone, crying a lot of times because I didn't want to go back to the life that I once lived. But it kept smacking me in my forehead. Was that Jesus Christ saying, I told you you're free from that? Maybe Christ was telling me, Tracilyn, how many times do I got to tell you? You're free from that. You might feel like you're in limbo right now. You're in the womb. Let's at least try to see what choices we're going to have in the years to come. And let's start where I thought it would be safe. Draw in the youth. It's a nice little neighborhood. It's a cute little church. Traditional. It would have been a heck of a place to start. Maybe it could have branched off. Could have led to other things. Maybe somebody would have came walking by and screamed at us to turn it down. Or maybe somebody would have walked in and said, whoa, what is going on in here? Have you ever thought of taking this show on the road, kid? Into Chicago we go with the Blues Brothers. The General Lee's sitting out front, kid. Do you want to drive or should I? You drive. I just want to hold on to your arm. Leap. Over many cars. Over the church. Let's go. I'm ready to go. And here's the thing, check this out. I gotta get through this quickly because of the time frame in this. I hope you're enjoying it. What I want to get at to this point, the answer was no. And I felt at the time like he was holding the key to my destiny. I was hoping he would trust me to come here on a Tuesday, Thursday night. And I wasn't concerned about people being against me because I'm a transsexual female. With that, I figured that we could support each other. And I never realized that, guess what? Some people don't like people who worship God in the LGBT community ministering to their children. The assumption is all kinds of distasteful occurrences. That with me, I'd really like to believe. I mean, I have a sinful nature. But when it comes to children, ministerial work, etc., etc., I seriously trust myself. I love kids. I wanted an opportunity in this life, maybe to love many kids. I would love to hug many kids. My own kid, someday. Kids that are okay with me. And know this, I would like to think, without any shadow of doubt, that I would never cross any line. Because I wouldn't want that done to me ever. Okay? I'm aware. And some people think because you hug children that there's something wrong with you. And in their opinion, they don't want a transsexual female hugging a child. They don't want somebody picking them on the cheek, throwing ball with them, jumping rope with them. All I'm doing is playing with them. All I'm doing is singing to them. All I'm doing is crying with them, praying with them. Okay? I understand that in the world, being not intimate in what we perceive as intimate, but being passionately intimate with others in prayer and love for God can lead to all kinds of things. There was all that here. There was a lot of hugging and kissing. You know, not like you might maybe think that would flip you out. Hugging and kissing, yeah. With respectfully knowing who it was that you could do this with. With that being said, he told me about that whenever somebody within the LGBT community, that it runs a high risk of all kinds of trouble. And that really upset me. I understood, but man, was I hurt. And I left here and I cried. Now what? Well, subliminal messages, if you will, were coming to me to play in bar rooms. I don't want to play bar rooms. And I like to take the person who's sending me via satellite electronic harassment charges into my thought process, or whatever they're using, to try to persuade me to go back to a life I once had. I will never do that. Okay? That would be the enemy, Satan, if you will. To me. To you, it might be a huge blessing. Well, then go do it. Okay? God put it on my heart and showed me the truth is I want, maybe not here. I know what I want to do now. Finally, it came clear. I have pictures. It's all over the internet. I would like to play beautiful theaters and have family fun filled event. Tracilyn music. That's what I want. And hopefully share the moments with a lot of other people. How it looks, I don't know how it looks. I'm project oriented. I would like to communicate with others and bring together a project showing and tour. I have not yet figured out the details, but know that that's my heart's desire. I love theaters. I would love to travel, but how I travel, the details really matter. It's time for me, listen. I went through life many different ways, but it's time for me to be pampered a little bit. And a lot of people, they don't want to fall into agreement with that. That's where I have to say, away from me, Lord Satan. For the King of all kings has said I am worthy. We'll find out how worthy I am, as long as I keep it up here, my friend. Maybe that's just what helps me to get through this life. So I left here, I was upset, I went home and I cried. And can I tell you, I don't know if that was a time that I started working at like Walmart as a cashier, what was going on, but when I was on the bridge, I made it very clear that I really was certain that God was calling me into a rock and roll ministry. Only in my head it cannot be anything like I did before. Similarities, but for starters, I don't want to play alone. I want a full band, backup singers, maybe even a horn section from time to time or string section. Like, I really want to do grand things that are perceived as being grand. That's me. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people involved in that, I know. Well, you better be good with relationships, Tracilyn. God, send me someone who's magnificent with relationships and is good for intervention. Tracilyn's just having a moment. She'll be okay. Settle down, everyone. Settle down. We're going to make this night fulfilled, happy, and a joyful occasion. How it comes together, who knows? But I knew I couldn't do it alone. And I didn't want the full responsibility. Okay? I want to kind of focus on what my focus is and then it come together. I mean, I really want to share the moments that could have happened here, but it can happen anywhere. It can happen in theaters. Coming to a theater near you. Now showing. What do we call our project? I don't know. Project Love? Fun? Never know what's going to happen tonight. It'll be like a scary movie, maybe. Comedy. So here's the thing. Now we're going to open up the book. If the pastor who was speaking to me that day sees this, please don't be upset. Maybe in a sense I wasn't ready. I was screaming mad for a long time because I thought it was the one thing that would help to heal me. Put a Band-Aid on some of my wounds, if you will. Methylate, like my grandmother used to do. I really felt like it would be very beneficial. And that might sound selfish, but I wanted to plug in, okay? Maybe I'm just an extension cord. Can I be used on the job site? Oh, would you mind plugging him into me? You can plug him into me too. Just kidding. See, that's the thing. When you have a sense of humor, you really have to be careful. And you want to be a ministerial, into the lives of youth? I know. So what's the answer? The answer is I'm not lacking intelligence. I love children. I love life. I have a sense of humor. I'm passionate about music, my music specifically. I don't want to use my mouth to sing only a select few of covers is what I've learned. I really want to sing the songs I gave birth to. They're of my life, especially since coming out here in Dayton, Ohio, but they're of my life, and I want to share that with masses of people. Okay, so I'm gonna get a battery. This is time for a change. And then, look, check this out. Turn the page. Okay, so here's what we gotta do. Okay. This is all part of my healing process. Believe it or not, when I was looking at the Google map last night, I cried my eyes out. I flushed my system. When I came here in the parking lot, it took me maybe a couple hours. Second cup of coffee. I need to stop that. Will you pray for me with that? Is it selfish to ask? I need to pray for myself, do you think? Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, King of all kings, please guide me away from caffeine and into a pool of aqua. Fresh water. It's coming. It's inedible. Now here's the thing, check this out. So they're getting ready to mow grass. I'm gonna go around back really quick after I get a battery, and then we're gonna target what's on the pamphlet, and we're going to move on to another location. Okay? Stay with me. May this be some of the last time I ever drink coffee. What do you think? 5 years from now, will I still be drinking? Drinking my coffee. I'm high strung now. Love you. Be back soon. Okay. I came out back of the church to show you really quick. I was hoping to kind of peek in the windows a little. It doesn't seem that anybody's here. So, and everything's all locked up, by the way. So I can't enter. Maybe some other time. I like all kinds of things. I like big, flashy, beautiful mega churches, and I like the simpleness sometimes of a classic, traditional family church, and also barn churches. Did you ever go to a barn church? Some people have church outside. You know, there's all kinds of ways to gather in togetherness, right? And that's what it's about. I have ideas, and I'm sure many people are doing it already, and have done it since the beginning of time. Worship by just being true to you. How's that? You think sometimes God's very thankful for just doing that? Being true to your heart's desires. And you think it gives God joy to know that you've been given free will. God already knows what's best for you. And when you choose in favor of your heart's desires, while exercising the fruits of the Spirit of Jesus Christ, love, grace, mercy, and everything that Jesus stands for, life, love. I think that gives God great pleasure to know that you're choosing in a fashion that He really created and designed us all for, which was to choose in favor of life, and the life that's up here, while respecting everybody along the way to the best of our ability, right? Okay, so really quick, we're going to go through this because I invested quite a great deal of time. Know that this church today, I can really look at and say I love. I wonder in the years to come what will happen with the church. I think it'll just stay in decay. Is there things going on in it now? Is that what the signs were about? I don't know. I really don't know. I guess I could call and find out. From what I know, the church service that was once here had relocated somewhere else, but I could be wrong. Okay, don't take my word for it. But I know a lot of the people that attended are sporadic throughout the United States. But thank goodness for social media, because we can still, on occasion, say hi. Telephone. A text. Text me if you remember me from this church, or if you'd like to just get to know me and you never met me before. Okay, so out back here, I'm sure there was all kinds of things. Cookouts, unity, conversations. And maybe this was kind of used for things like anybody who needs a cigarette, grab yourself a smoke, right? Keep it out of the building, outside here. So, lights on. Yeah. Downstairs here was really cool. 2 things that used to happen, actually 3, that I really appreciated, was on the other side of this door is kind of the downstairs where they have a whole lot of tables, kind of like a little luncheon area, cafeteria / rec center. And with all the tables and chairs there, we would gather for a transgendered meeting where a lot of people in the transsexual community, but all walks of life, were invited to come to a safe place that they could communicate and just conversate. And whatever came out of that conversation, hugs, loves, somebody who's willing to listen, words of encouragement, guidance. We would meet here, and then a lot of times we would go somewhere to grab a bite to eat. I loved some of the personalities that were here. I really loved, but I loved the fact that there was community. The problem is mindset. There was a meeting place. It was safe, and I always love going to a church. In most situations, I really do appreciate going to a church. I have respect for it. That's the way I was raised. So that's something I'm very proud of that I keep with me. I was very grateful to come to a church. The thing is, same thing, when things start to become what feels to be mundane, and there's nothing really shifting a variance in the gathering, it's not that I don't want to go, it's that I don't know how to communicate that there's all kinds of really cool things that we could maybe do to really make this interesting, and maybe not going out to eat all the time, but we could prepare something here, and then we could go do something else together, whatever that something else is. Okay? What do you think? Coming and meeting each other, talking, maybe having some snacks. We had lots of snacks. Maybe, do you think we should go somewhere else, maybe? I always wanted to be able to be a part of a group of people that want to create an environment, a fun, enjoyable environment that's safe, family-oriented, has purpose. What's the purpose? Love? I don't know. I guess that's can be figured out. In the meanwhile, I love doing music. I today would change my way of thinking. I would walk in here and I would be very grateful that God has blessed me with friends, people who don't judge me because of being a transsexual female, people that I can conversate with, snack with, laugh with. There used to be a lady that came here. Her name was Carol. She has videos on YouTube, and she's very comic. She likes to tell a lot of jokes continuously. She's kind of the center of the table. And coming here, that was a blessing. My attitude sometimes before I would come is to Susie, all we're gonna do is come here, have some snacks, listen to Carol's jokes, and go out to eat. Again, I'm feeling like it might be kind of mundane. Not anyone specifically, the actions of what's happening. It's in my heart. I love diversity, and I embrace that. And I want to do, it's in me that I really want to do something impactful. How could we utilize maybe Carol's jokes? Maybe the conversations we're having, maybe not necessarily going out to eat all the time, maybe we can make something here, cookout. New music. We have a club that we have, not a club like a club, an all age group club, and where bring people together to do music, my songs, for me. Tell jokes, maybe speak on the behalf of maybe things that we could do in our community to be informal and is like an outreach to help our community. You know? I kind of lost interest in having a worldly life. It might look very much the same, but I know that in my heart I really wanted to do something more. I'm being honest. I wanted to do something more, not necessarily separate from everyone. I was going through a lot mentally, and a lot of times I don't know. Sometimes it seems like it's challenging to talk about where your heart is. So I need to exercise that, and that's why I'm trying to do it this way. If I go back in time now, I would most certainly embrace everything that's happening inside the building. I would love people. I would laugh with people. I wouldn't say this was only solely good enough. I would attempt to communicate my heart's desire and see if others that are here already would be interested. And we could maybe talk about possibilities of what it is that we could do. Okay? It was a great place for the transsexual female community to come for social time, snacks, etc. Maybe go out for a few drinks and diner, but I don't know everything that was occurring myself, but my head was really foggy. And I just remember that I would have liked to do something that was pretty popular and happening on a regular basis when it came to Girls' Night Out was a lot of occurrences, not necessarily here, but in other girls' nights out, is usually the girls in the community. There's usually a lot of people who are just coming out for the first time to embrace and enjoy their girlyhood, their womanhood. And a meeting place usually, and sometimes transsexuals that have been out for a long time. A lot of times it was met at like clubs that had bar, or were more like a bar with alcohol, serving alcohol, food and stuff. In my heart, because of the things I witnessed and experienced throughout my life, understand, don't take this personally. I personally would have liked to stay away, and it was known very clearly, because of my own addictions as well. I wanted to try to stay away from the alcohol part, specifically. The other things I feel that I'm strong enough that I could have kind of maneuvered through in my own battle up here. But I wanted to get away from the alcohol myself, and I understood this: the importance of providing a safe, wholesome environment for others that we can communicate, socialize, tell jokes, sing songs, but also what are some other ways that maybe we could be an extension rather than just inviting? What are ways that we could promote and be a part of the community and be a voice? Maybe not everybody's interested in that, but only a few people are. I met some girls in the community that I know darn well are strong. They have something to say. I want them to be safe. You know, they're artistic. They can express themselves quite well, whether telling jokes or if it's painting pictures, if it's simply conversating over a microphone in front of people. I feel that there are needs, and there's always going to be needs for people to come together and formulate something that is beneficial for the lives of today and the lives of the future. And I already know through my own experience that there's lots of transsexuals already out. They call them advocates, people out speaking and sharing their life story and doing all kinds of wondrous things. And a lot of the groups that I attended, they taught how to put on makeup, how to walk, how to talk, discussions on surgery. A lot of times, as we're coming out, we go through all of this, and then what? Well, my situation, I went through all of this, and now, it's not that I don't have anything else to learn, I have a lot to learn. But now I want to kind of be in a position that I would kind of like to be a hand. Not just in transsexual females. My heart is with youth as well. But I really feel for the transsexual female specifically community, but all people who want to be loved. And allowing me to be a part of their life is great. In a healthy way. So with that being said, I hope I don't hurt anybody when I talk about it, but can I tell you I miss meeting the girls that were here. I miss Carol's jokes. She sends me videos, in my email, and thank you for that. I look forward to it very much. Now, as I'm putting together a vision for myself and being honest about what I want to do over the years, I've come to the realization, again, my hope is to put together a band. Rehearsal space is a requirement where a full band can actually practice without upsetting the neighborhood. Plenty of parking. When I do shows, transportation, I don't want to end up going through a lot of the challenges I went through in the past. One of the things that I would like to have and see myself in the distant coming closer to me is a beautiful RV, appropriate in size that you can actually live in comfortably. Maybe even have a small studio set up so I can write down ideas and record while I'm on the road for long durations. I thought about this because I need my own space. I know I would love a master suite like that on wheels. I prefer to share it with somebody or a couple someones. However, when you have a band, you gotta transport more than just yourself and one or two people. So I don't really know what the answer is, but I do know that I need my own space in order to have healthy relationships. It has nothing to do with being selfish, it has to do with being intelligent. I'd rather not explain all the details, but I know this. Because since I'm at home in my own apartment, it's a small apartment, I have my studio, I went through a remarkable healing, and I'm convinced that I have formulated a manner that I can actually have relationships with people so long as there is boundaries and I have my own space to go to. When there's no space for me to get away, unfortunately relationships tend to trickle away from you. I don't want that. I'd rather try to strengthen them. And the best way that I've found is having my own living space, whether I would be at home, in a house, or if I were to be traveling. Some people are much better, they're different. How about that? They're not better, they're different. And they can have closeness, and they could travel with 8-10 people in a tour bus. And they could stay in the same room. I gotta be honest with you, it's not that I have a mental problem, it's what makes me who I am. Maybe on some rare occasions, maybe in the future, I'll be groomed in that way and I'll be okay with it. But for the most part, I realize I need my own space. Do you ever feel like that? You need your own space? But it doesn't mean you don't want people in your life. You need people, I need people in my life, relationships, healthy relationships. And it starts with me acknowledging what it is that I need. And that's something. With that being said, I would love to play theaters. I would like to have what once was there in my life, understanding what had happened and I'm going to explain that later, a home ministry. That can be very challenging at times. It's very important to be graceful and take steps in a manner that you understand what your personal needs are, what the home needs are, what the relationships are coming into the home's needs are, and the understanding of respect for one another. I believe I have what it takes. The thing is I'm convinced it takes a very strong character. It takes a lot of love of Christ in order to become family. Okay, so with that being said, that's my desire. And what is my desire in short? I would love to have a beautiful home, beautiful location. I'm thinking RV, but maybe tour bus. It depends on how the tours are formed. I would like to play theaters. I'd like to see myself doing a major tour sometime in this lifetime. You know, maybe even like a year or two. Like, I'm talking big tour. Having a lot of fun, supporting the music of the songs I wrote. Maybe not. The traditional band thing doesn't move me. It has to be something uniquely shaped and tailored that when I'm on stages and I'm looking to my left and to my right and all around me, that I am filled with joy. That's why I'm not in a hurry for this. I believe and I'm convinced it is on its way to happening. You may feel much different. Good. I'm looking to prove you wrong. God will show us all wrong. And then God will show us all right. How's that? Do I know how to talk, or do I know how to talk? Maybe I'm testing you, and I'm testing me. Maybe I have a split personality who's arguing with me. I'm trying to trick my own mind. Okay, so here's the thing. I shared with you about that. Another thing that used to happen in here was a friend that became Bob would have a Bible ministry here, and it was a small group. Actually, it was pretty decent size, and he led us in reading scripture together in a circle, like at the tables in the corner, and there was one or two people, himself included, that would kind of lead the group, get us started in conversating about what it is that we read in the subject of study. I really love the Bible a lot, and I love people who are passionate about the Bible. I don't like it being manipulated and used against me. I don't think anyone does. But I went through a season where I really needed to be around people who love Scripture, love to talk about it, and simply are okay with me sitting at the table, maybe with questions, maybe just listening, or taking the opportunity to try to read a few passages myself. Let's be honest, some of the literature can be twisting. Ever play the game of Twister? That's how my tongue gets sometimes when I read scripture out loud. Spin! Your turn. Okay, so here's the thing. When I was a kid, get this, in these bushes, check this out. Especially over on Lafayette Street. Maybe not down there, but I used to make a fort. I would make a fort, and I would try not to break anything because I didn't want anybody to know that I was in there. And then sometimes people would walk by in their yard. You have to be very quiet. And I would take, like, sometimes stale bread or other little food. I try to be careful and mindful of the animals. and I would make them small enough for them that they could swallow it and eat it and stuff like that. And I would set it out, and squirrels and rabbits would come by from a distance. I always wanted them to come closer. And sometimes I'd take my matchboxes out, and I would play in the dirt. I really used to like that as a little kid. Forts. Nature's forts. It was fun for me to be, knowing I had a home to go home to safely. There's another one over here. I'll show you right now. So I'm getting ready here to tell you that that was something else that we did at this church. Another thing is I had the opportunity to play once. And they served food, and it was kind of like an outing inside. Different events for different occasions, different reasonings. I really loved being a part of a church family. Unfortunately, I am guilty of telling you that I couldn't get this rock and roll ministry thing out of my head, and know that the life that I desired was already happening. Baby steps. I was with people I cared about and looked forward to seeing. And one thing that I loved about it was personal acceptance. Okay? At least with the transsexual thing, it was okay. You know, the fact that my head was the way it was might have bothered some people, but they were nice. Okay? I felt safe when I came. Here's another fort. What do you think of that? I'm not encouraging you to do this, by the way. So don't do it and hurt yourself. If you do it, be careful. And don't trip and hurt. Don't trip over anything, right? I shouldn't be saying that. I should be telling you, have a good time. Get in there and have a good time. It might be a place that would be fun to go with somebody special, right? When you're older. And play in the fort. You want to play in the fort with me? So here's the thing. Take a blanket, maybe a pillow, picnic basket, and instead of feeding the animals, you can feed each other. Don't bite my fingers. So, with that being said, there was events. Now check this out. When I used to come here, I used to always love using the bathroom before service. Why? I don't know why. But I am notorious when I go to church. I will usually use the restroom first. Or say hi to everyone, and then I'll go down. You think it's because I drink coffee? I like to help out a little bit. I'm not just a taker. You know, I like to contribute. It helps set up, you know, snacky stuff. A lot of times there was a lot of people that already prepared the way. And all you had to do was come and enjoy the evening. Whatever it was, whatever the occasion was. A lot of times, after church service, I don't know if it was it once a month? Maybe every service. There was always something down here so people could snack a little bit and conversate. Sometimes we'd have meals. There's all kinds of things to do. There's where we had service. And I sang several of my songs. Received many hugs. Are you ready? I'm just gonna sit down if that's all right. Whoops. We got another place or two to go. Okay. Before I go, remind me to hug and kiss the church. And know that my attitude, if it came across in an appropriate manner that you didn't care for then, know that I'm sorry. I was going through a lot of stuff just like everyone else, and it's the way it came out. But I like to think that I'm a really good-hearted person with a big spirit. I love to love, and I would like to say, if I could go back in time, I would value and appreciate things much differently, and I would be bold and take graceful steps. I gotta admit, sometimes I just don't like tiptoeing around, and that sometimes is perceived more harsh than I wish it did. I talked about the people I met at church service. Let's see. Bible study, trans meeting, and girls' night out. Volunteered to sing songs I wrote. Talked about that. One of the things I forgot to mention is when I would go to church with my grandfather years ago on my dad's side, the one who inspired me in many ways, business, godly values, patience, love, giving, taking life a little more gentler rather than rushing around trying to get everything done. His ways spoke loudly in me and inspired me. There's a lot of elements he had that I wanted to be like. When we would go to church service, a lot of times he would fall asleep. How about every time he would fall asleep? So he took us, because he took his wife, which was my grandmother, and took us children, and then he would fall asleep during the church service. And my grandmother would say, "Bruce, wake up. Bruce, it's time to go." Well, not all the time, but sometimes Daddy would fall asleep. And I used to think to myself, when I'd watch him, that God gave me somebody very special for this time. Maybe somebody else would laugh. Inside my head, I reflected back to my grandfather, not him, not my daddy, but my grandfather. And I just knew that, number one, I was in my childhood home, I was with my daddy, and I was going through a church service very similar to that which was in my childhood. That was a funny moment for me, and a very comforting, warming, loving moment. I used to love drinking his water at church, trying to make sure the crackling of the bottle. Don't spill it. The door greeters, I talked about that, how I love to hug them. The smell of the church. Not like a gym locker room. I'm not talking about the human smell, okay? Like a puppy dog. I'm not talking about that. For some reason, every building has its own scent. I guess for lots of reasons. If a scientist were to explain it to us or whatever, what would explain it to us? I don't know. An astrologist? A gynecologist? I have no idea. Many people would explain it differently. However, this church inside, I love the smell. There was a churchy smell that I looked forward to coming and receiving. I related that mentally to receiving a good word of God. As goofy as that may be, it had church pews. Okay, I like churches of all kinds. I like to be very comfortable. And can I tell you, during the times of church service, I am guilty of complaining a little bit that my butt... Ouch. 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 We get sore. Ouch. I should have brought a blanket, Daddy. Is there a blanket or a pillow here? I like to be pampered. That's me being honest. And some people don't care to hear that. I'm telling you, I like to be pampered. My idea of pampering. And with that being said, I'm not really sorry that I complained about that. However, I love church pews. I like sliding down because somebody else wants to squeeze in on the bench. I like when we all gotta kind of back up, move our legs, right? inward so people can walk through. And maybe we stand up, right? Like this. We stand up and we lean back and we kind of get bumped as other people are trying to squeeze in this way. Because they want to sit on the other side of you. Or sometimes, in a pew, you would get out and let somebody else walk in. Because they want to sit down a little bit. And you're being kind and respectful to them, inviting them in. And then you can go and sit in. Standing, I used to like putting my jacket and my purse close to me. And sometimes I'd put a little something. Is it a candy piece or something? Mint? Little gum stick? Sometimes. I'm not a big gum thing. That used to be when I was younger. Trident was really big in my grandma's purse, and Haws. Do you want a Haws? That was big to me when I was like 5 years old. And I used to go to church in Mount Airy, which is in my video blogs. My grandma always had that in her purse. Mentos, is that it? Well, I would have something in here sometimes. And sometimes I would offer it to other people. And sometimes I would be greedy. And God would be working on my heart. And I just want to say that I really love church pews for a whole lot of other reasons than just being pampered, because I'm pampered in a different way. My jackets, I like to build my jacket around me, kind of like I'm building a little something. What am I building? I'm creating something to nest myself in the pew. I used to like crossing my legs. And I love when there's Bibles or hymn books in the pew in front of us. I like that. You know, even if I was a part of another church, I would highly recommend. I know they do things much differently, but I would highly recommend something. Something. But I love church pews. And that took me back to Mount Airy childhood. A lot of what happened here, like this is, can I tell you, my worldly self name was given to me by my mother, and it was Todd. Todd, who was my worldly self, went to Mount Airy as a child. The name that God revealed to me is a name of meaning, of life. Tracilyn. This is my childhood church. And can I tell you, I understand that over a season of time, things come about with buildings. My hope is that something very special comes about with this building, or maybe it is, I don't know. You think they're having church already here and stuff? If it is, I hope it's inviting to all kind people. I think that would be great. To all people. How's that? It was wrong for me to say that, huh? No exceptions, right? Well, you want to have a safe place. How's that? And there was times that I used to go to church in Lancaster that I told you about, and I would be drunk after one of my shows. Drunk and stoned. Well, guess what? There was times here I woke up after being drunk or stoned. And I knew I needed a good word to help me get through the day. I'm sorry that some of the thoughts were in my head, but yet I'm not sorry, because that's where I was during those times. And it's because of the good word that came out of here through the people. There were many speakers that were here, or several speakers that were here, that were absolutely amazing. There was a lady of color who came here. I forget her name right now, but I could look it up. She was powerful. And she most certainly had a heart for God. And she spoke in words into my mind. My heart here. See, I always thought heart here. I'm starting to believe that we're talking about the center core of our heart and our brain, the thought, the dominant thoughts. She spoke words of life into my brain. And I would like to say thank you very much. Even if I don't recall the name right now, I'm sure I could figure it out. I hope she's still around, she's safe, and she's loved. Let's see. So the smell of the church. I like it. They should bottle it up in a perfume. Or maybe a house spray. What do you think? No? You don't want the church smell at home? Sorry, I just came from it. I get excited about, I think attending church, worship, brings me much closer to myself, a child of God. And I think it keeps life spicy. And it would be nice to be around people that even if that's not for them, they appreciate that Tracilyn is. You know, I would really value that. That's what is a big contributing factor as to what has helped me get through this life. I always want to respect that part of a need, I guess you could say, or was at one time. Now it might be more of a desire. Always a need, I guess, huh? We always need a good word coming into our life, you know, to lift us up. Let's see. It had an older kind of choir. We already discussed that. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Looking back on it now, I can appreciate it much differently. And I have ideas with my music. And I would like to have a choir as grand as that on stage with me someday in a beautiful theater. Lots of voices. They really mean a lot to me. That's my dream. That's my fantasy. That's my desire. I want it to be fulfilled. I'm guilty of that. What are the charges? I don't know. It looks like we have to call some choirs and see what their fees are. We got 4 minutes to go. Let's wrap this up and we're going to move on to the next one. Older kind of choir. Tuesday and Thursday night for children. I noticed that. I wish if I could go back in time, I want to say that I wish I could volunteer. I would have volunteered more. I had opportunities and I did help out some, but I wish I would have had a much better attitude and volunteered much more when I knew that there was people already in action doing it. It would have been a great opportunity for me to be a part. And I'll explain more on that as I enter into my home and share with you in my studio. What I've come to realize was the main problem, and that is not knowing my own needs first. And then I desire and I can give myself better to the world around me and my community. No matter if I'm standing there just helping out and smiling and greeting people, whatever, but I gotta have my needs fulfilled first. And I would say that to all of us. We all need our own personal needs taken care of first. Okay, 3 minutes. I wish I would have complained less. And let's see, I would like to say I'm sorry for anybody I would have hurt, for not volunteering more, for any time I complained, or any time I felt like, or it was felt like I was stepping on people's toes. That's not the kind of person I want to be. Please forgive me. I love you. I am sorry. I am sorry too, which we're going to talk about up here. I'm going to circle this, because that's something on a person, right? I went to use in the bathroom, so did Daddy. His jacket. His hugs. being close to somebody. That made it more enjoyable to me. What a way to go to church. You know, companionship. Very important to me. Kiss and prayers. Hugs. I was pampered when I was here. Some would say a little bit too much. All the love that I received. Maybe that's why I came here broken, like a dried up sponge, that I could receive all the beauty. You know, selfish me, right? Remember, the things that I've been through sometimes is what shaped me to be for here. And I'm glad I'm through those things and never want to return to those things. And I'm sorry I ever hurt anybody when I didn't run away, but I went away. And I returned back to escorting again, because part of the reason why I couldn't give the best self here was because I kept returning back to something I knew it was time for me to step away from. Even in 2009, it was very clear in February 2009 that it was time to stop escorting. So I'm sorry that I upset people when I would do that. I know some of you were. I'm not doing it now. Keep me in your thoughts, please. I love the drive's over. So we're talking about the others. It looks like it's done. Next to Catherine.